The truth is, your art does not speak for itself, but having an artist statement does give it a voice. Having a great artist statement takes a little bit of skill and a lot of editing. Doing an artist statement right can snag you a sale, can connect you better with your audience, get you into opportunities like artist residencies and galleries and shows, and so much more. Having a great artist statement is key to selling your work, a key to making your work more professional, and actually knowing what your work is about. This guide is designed to help you write an excellent artist statement, something so good that you'll be like, yeah, that truly represents my work that I have put a lot of time into. After going through this guide, you're going to have a very clear and professional artist statement. Are you ready? This is Brushwork. Friends and foes, welcome to Brushwork Podcast. My name is Stephanie Scott, and today we're going through writing your artist statement. There's a big misconception I see a lot when I'm reading artist statements that they don't truly understand the difference between an artist statement and an artist bio. So before we get into writing the statement itself, we really need to separate the differences. An artist statement is about a particular body of work, or even sometimes a singular painting, whereas an artist bio is about your personal history in the arts, in your career, in your education, etc. When you are doing the two different statements, it's easy to want to mash them together, and that is not what we're doing today. Today we're talking specifically about a collection of work that you've got. An artist statement is going to explain why you created the work, what it represents, and what you want the viewer to come away with. It's going to be focused on a singular piece of work or a whole collection of work, a body, you might even say. Its purpose is to give your audience a deep insight into what you're creating that they couldn't get by first glance of looking at your painting or your sculpture, or whatever it is you make. The tone is going to be very personal. It's going to be about you and coming from the heart and being authentic. An ideal artist statement is about 1 to 2 paragraphs long. An artist bio, on the other hand, is going to be much more impersonal. It's going to be a summary of your education. It's going to be about your history. It's going to be about what accolades you might have, career highlights that you might have. Its focus is all about your background and your career. The tone of an artist bio needs to be really factual. It needs to be really professional, and usually it's written in the third person. An artist bio can be 2 to 3 paragraphs. It can be a little bit longer than the artist statement. Oftentimes you see artist statements and they try to mush them together. Sometimes it's because they only have so much room in an artist publication, or they're printing something to go on a wall and they want to have just one strong paragraph. And there is a time and a place for that. But for today, we're going to focus on artist statements. When you're writing an artist statement, you want to focus on these 7 things. Number 1, write it in first person. An artist statement is personal. It comes from you, and it's coming from the intent behind your work. When you have something written in third person, it seems too distant. So write in first person. You're going to use statements like I, me, and mine. The statement should feel personal, as if the artist is talking directly to the viewer. You are talking to your collectors. If you're using statements like the artist or just like a last name, that's too impersonal. Avoid those things. Number 2, remember that your audience might not be artists. These are people who are seeing your work for the first time, or at least that's what you should assume when you're writing this statement. Using artist jargon or getting overly complicated and academic in your terms can put people off from enjoying your work. If they feel like they're confused about what's being written, or that they don't know enough about the art world to understand what you're describing, they're not going to like your work as much. Your artist statement absolutely represents your work, so if you keep it simple and really clear, it's going to come across better. Think about what is the simplest way that you can describe your work. Number 3, consider the major themes of this collection of work that you're writing about. You're writing your artist statement about a specific group of paintings, a group of prints or drawings, or whatever it is that you make. Think about those major themes that go across that makes it a collection. If you're writing a statement about one specific painting, think about what is the biggest, most impactful emotional subject of the piece, or what is the driving factor of you creating that piece. Think really big themes. Number 4, elaborate on the process of making the work. If your artwork has really creative and unique aspects to how it was made concerning materials and processes, write about that. That's interesting. If it enhances your work, if you're saying, I chose color pencils just to have color pencils, that's not as interesting. But if you're like, in this painting, I'm using the dirt from my hometown to bring about the groundedness from where I grew up in. That's fascinating. Put that in there. Number 5 is specificity matters. Keeping it simple, keeping it clear, and being specific about what's going on is going to give the presentation of your work a boost. I want you to include any insights to your pieces that the viewers might miss if they're only looking at your picture for 30 seconds or so. Are there hidden figures in your piece? Are there any secrets you might not know? Messages that are subtle and intricate? Be as revealing or as hidden as you like, but alluding to the fact that there might be something deeper within each piece. That's fascinating, and that's going to hook people to keep looking at your artwork. Number 6, assume the viewer has no idea who you are. Assume they are a stranger who are seeing your work for the very first time. This way, it allows you to be extremely descriptive about what's going on, and you have the perspective of someone who has no idea who you are. So you're showing and introducing your work for the very first time. This is exciting. You have a lot of control here. By the time someone is done reading your artist statement, you want them to feel like they know you really well. And number 7 is length. I want you to keep your artist statement between 1 and 2 paragraphs. Each paragraph should have at least 3 sentences, but make things as concise as you can. If you can reduce a sentence, take it out. Short and sweet is the name of the game. With a clear and engaging artist statement, you are truly giving your viewers a window into your art world, into your work and the creativity and the mystique of it. It's exciting. So those are the basics of what you should write for a first draft. Focusing on all of those things is going to be really good, but I've also got a huge list of things you need to avoid when doing an artist statement. And the irony is that the list of things to avoid is longer than the list of things to do. But here we are. Let's go. Number 1, try to avoid using buzzwords and art jargon. Phrases like deconstructing the visual narrative, they don't really say much. They're vague and they feel artsy, but they really are it's just hot air, you know? You don't want to sound complex just to sound complex. You want to sound complex and then actually mean something. Also, on that track, juxtapose, the word, is now banned from your artist statement. I see it in so many artist statements, it hurts a little bit. It's a boring word at this point. It's overused. Try to avoid it. Number 2 is don't describe every single piece in your collection in detail. You want to describe the whole collection as a whole. It's really tempting to describe every element of your work, but this can overwhelm the reader. You want to leave something to the imagination. Going with that in detail, don't put any measurements or specific dates into your artist statement unless it adds to the experience of learning. For example, you're not going to say, I have here an 18 by 24 inch painting of a purple dragon. That's boring. That's boring. But if you were like, here I have a 5-story mural of a purple dragon, that's interesting. The scale matters so that it's a 5-story building. When it's something in inches and centimeters, that sort of information is going to go on the title card next to the work and not in the artist statement. Number 3, avoid overly personal stories. You don't want to be writing an artist statement that feels like reading a diary. You want to keep some distance between you and the person who's reading your artist statement and not get too intimate unless it directly impacts your work. The focus should truly remain on the artwork. I would offer personal stories only if it truly adds to the depth of understanding the work. Number 4 is stay clear of cliches and general phrases. For example, I've loved art since childhood. Art is my passion. It's just not very deep, and it doesn't actually help me understand what your work is talking about. Number 5, in the opposite direction, don't use grand claims or big statements like, my work is going to change the art field forever. Unless you've been doing this for 40 years, and if you have, you're probably not watching this video, and you can back up that your art has changed the field, it comes off as egotistical and pompous, and no one's going to actually take you seriously. They're going to take you less serious than when they just saw your work, right? Talk about your work with intention and honesty without overstating the intensity of your work. Number 6, avoid over-explaining or over-defending your work. If you are getting the tone that you're being really defensive in your artist statement, like you're expecting judgment, that can set people off to judge you. You want to set the tone right of what you're saying so that you get the response that you're actually looking for. If you want people to judge you, that's something else, but you need to be specific about your intention here. Number 7 is, again, don't write in third person. Keep it first person, even if it feels like it might be more professional. Artist statements need to be more intimate than that, okay? Number 8 is do not use quotes from other famous artists. It's not helping you. Trust your instinct, trust your honesty, and use your own words. Number 9 is more of a style thing, but avoid repeating words. Instead of using the word geometry twice, I'm going to use it once as geometry and one as geometric and change the order of the sentence. When you have the same word going on multiple times, and it's not like an if, or a but, that sort of word, it creates too much repetition and the reader's brain is going to stick on that word too much. You need to use it skillfully. Try not to have any repeating words, especially when you only have a 1 paragraph to 2 paragraph statements. After you've written out your first draft of your artist statement, you now need to edit it. Editing is so important, and I have some tips for you for doing it right. Read it out loud. Your artist statement should be easy to read out loud. When you have a flow in sentences, you can take your artist statement and make it into a speech you might say about your work at some point. You want it to interplay and have the same feeling as if you were talking to your audience, which is what's happening with an artist statement. Next is change the font. If you are working in your Word document and you're like, I don't see anything wrong with it, but I feel like something's off, but I can't pinpoint it. If you change the font of what you're writing, like go from Times New Roman to Arial or something like that, you will see the differences get pointed out much more quicker. Your eye gets used to what you're writing when you're writing a document, and this is just a tip to see the problems. After you've given it your own once-over, you're going to take it to a friend. Asking a friend to help you, especially if that friend is an artist or works in a writing field, is going to tremendously help you. You're going to get grammar advice, you're going to get punctuation advice, you're going to get so many things that actually help your work seem even better. If you don't feel like you have anyone you can trust with your artist statement, I do offer artist statement editing. It's on my Patreon page. I'll put a link in the description. I got 2 more tips for editing. Make sure you're using spell check. Spell check is going to save your life. Make sure you are using spell check. We want no red squiggly underlines in your document. That's just an easy way to make sure at least the words are spelled correctly, if not the correct words that you mean. The last tip I have is to compare it with your artwork. Once you have what is basically the final draft of your artist statement, go to your artwork, look at your paintings, look at your prints, look at your drawings, whatever it is, and make sure that it matches with your artwork and the collection that you're describing. If it feels like something's off, go back to editing until you feel like it's right. Artists are visual people, and I know that sometimes when you're writing your own artist statement, you're like, I truly don't know if this is good or not, even with the guideline I just gave you. So today I have 6 artists who gave me their artist statement, and I'm going to edit them for you live, including mine. So we can see what's working and examples of when distance is happening, when something's too long, when something's getting repetitive, when something's too grandiose, and when something is too subtle and vague. Let's start with mine. This is my personal artist statement, and it's about my zodiac collection. This is a collection of paintings that I've made using zodiac signs as the main imagery, and I'm trying to write an artist statement that surrounds that. Here's what I have written so far. Using geometric abstraction, this collection explores the zodiac constellations. Each sign has been studied for its primary characteristics and color themes. With vivid color and hard edges, the paintings brighten the space they exist in while subtly shaping the energy for the positive. When I look at this, I think automatically it's a bit too short. It's 3 sentences, barely a paragraph, and the last sentence, it's a little vague. It's a little vague. It does stay in the frame of 1 paragraph though, so that's fine, but I think with my edit here, I'm going to extend it. The 3rd sentence I'm noticing, with vivid color and hard edges, the paintings brighten the space they exist in while subtly shaping the energy for the positive. It's too vague, and it's also kind of mystical in a way that I don't think helps the zodiac theme. Zodiac constellations and star signs, that is mystical and it is kind of witchy in that way, but I think this is too vague, and it's not actually helping the reader learn anything more about the zodiac paintings. So this is what I'm going to edit it with. One thing I really noticed when I was looking at my first draft is that I didn't have any I statements. It's still in first person, and this is okay, but I wanted something that felt a little bit more personal, so I'm going to use I here. Here's the change I made. Using geometric abstraction, this collection explores the zodiac constellations. I didn't change that sentence at all. Each sign has been studied for its primary characteristics and iconic colorways. I chose iconic colorways over color themes because colorways seems more current for people who are not artists. If you think about a sneaker that has lots of different color themes, those are called colorways. I want this to be more approachable to people who have never seen my art before or really bought art before. The 3rd sentence is what has changed the most. Cradled in symbolic gradients, the gold leaf stars emerge from the stories that the hard-edged geometry is telling. By taking out vivid color, by keeping hard edges, which is when I have really sharp lines from one color to the next, I'm alluding to the fact that the geometry and the gradients that I have are telling stories. When you look at this painting below, it's the Taurus painting, and it has a lot of strength to it, and it has a lot of gravity to it, and that's something I want to come forward in this series. I'm also actually talking about the stars being gold leaf. I think this is an important attribute of it, that in the photos you might see online, you're like, oh, they're gold, but are they gold leaf? Before, I hadn't talked about gradients, which is something that I really wanted to say, that I'm using gradients in almost every single piece that I've made in this collection. That's fun. I should be including that. And now I get a little bit more personal. I say, through making these oil paintings, so I've stated that I'm making oil paintings here, which I didn't have before, I have learned a new understanding of each zodiac sign. Our nature runs deeper than what appears on the surface. I've now said that there's something underneath the surface. There's something that's hidden in each painting. And hopefully my reader will pick up on that and look even deeper at each of the paintings in the series. This would have been a better artist statement to have during my show. Let's go to the next person. This artist is Marcie von Beck. I'm not familiar with her work, so this is my first time seeing it. Right away, this one paragraph statement is good. Let's read out her statement from the first draft. My work explores and celebrates the resilience of the human condition. Life is beautiful, but invariably difficult. I believe it is often these difficulties and how we meet them that give rise to life's beauty. We are strong but vulnerable, and we must be brave every day. I paint with oil and acrylic because they give me the flexibility to explore and convey the challenges and the triumphs, the moments between who we are and who we can be. So I think the length is good, but I think we have some repeating statements that are happening, and I want to see if we can get this to be even more concise. Let me give it an edit. It is often these difficulties. I'm going to say something other. She has difficult twice here. I'm going to say it is often these struggles and how we meet them. And how we meet them that give rise to life's beauty. One of these beautiful terms should change. Let's see. I'm going to say how we meet these struggles. Struggles gives rise to life's beauty. You're strong but vulnerable. Actually, I think this one should stay. And I think this one should be maybe wonderful, dazzling, brilliant. I'm going to say this should be yet invariably difficult. Invariably difficult. How we meet these struggles gives rise to life's beauty. Perfect. We are strong but vulnerable. And we must be brave every day. We must choose to be brave every day. We must choose bravery every day. We must be brave every day. I'm going to put a semicolon here. I paint with oil and acrylic because they give me, let's say, for the flexibility. I paint with oil and acrylic for the flexibility to explore and convey the challenges and the triumphs of what? Probably of life. The moment between who we are and who we can be. Triumphs. And the triumphs of the moments who we are. Maybe it's this. I paint with oils and acrylics for the flexibility to explore and convey the challenges and the triumphs of the moments between who we are and who we can be. That makes more sense. Okay, here's what I came up with. The highlighted section is words that she could switch out to what she feels is most appropriate, but I'm going to use the first word there. My work celebrates the resilience of the human condition. Wonderful, yet invariably difficult. How we meet these struggles gives rise to life's beauty. We are strong but vulnerable and must choose bravery every day. I paint with oil and acrylic for the flexibility to explore the challenges and the triumphs of the moments between who we are and who we can be. I think this is pretty good. I do like it. It's not that much shorter. I've made it more concise, and I think overall it's a stronger statement. She could put one more sentence here at the end of the statement to sum it up a little bit better, but I think this is pretty good. I'm going to send this to her and we'll say what we think. Our third artist is Isaac Pryor. Isaac was recently on the podcast, and his work is very linear. We have lots of line work, we have lots of organic shapes happening. I am familiar with his work, and I'm excited to see this artist statement. First off, when I'm looking at it, I see something that is too long. We should try and cut at least one sentence out of it, if not reduce the middle paragraph. I'm going to read it out to you, and we will see where to go from there. Through thousands of lines to strike feelings and serene scenes, my body of work helps me express emotions, interpret the world around me, and process complex situations. Pen and paper are my usual mediums. However, I have done larger pieces using paint markers and wooden canvases. Mythology has always been a passion of mine, and I implement my knowledge into my work. Old legends are interpretations of the unexplained or unknown of the cosmos. The universe is an expanding infinity, and the possibilities are equal. The power of both outer space and ancient civilizations. I explore the thought of what if often and use art as a way to process and distress from daily life. I've been exploring my emotions to be able to share my experiences through art and connect with those around me. The definition of sounder is the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and as complex as your own. By exposing my feelings, I hope to help others with their story and validate them. I do not see art as a choice or something that can be ignored. All humans are creative and show creativity in different ways, and if looked at, every profession or line of work is creative. Art isn't something that I choose to do. Art is something that I am compelled to create. It is second nature, just like why a fish swims. It is a way of being. All right, I think we have some duplication going on here. I do appreciate that it's first person. I do appreciate that you really go into your deep sense of mythology and what's going on behind the scenes with your work. I'm going to go through the edit here and give you my notes after. I feel like striking feelings and striking serene scenes is what is happening here with the sentence, but I feel like there's something about it. I do like thousands of lines because you're saying you have a lot of line work, and that's really accurate to what you make. I'm actually going to say through thousands of lines and serene scenes, my body of work helps me express emotions, interpret the world around me, and process complex situations. A lot of these are really similar. Like, I feel like you're saying the same thing 3 times. Let's say this body of work helps me express emotions, interpret the world around me, and process complex situations. What I don't like about this first sentence is that it doesn't talk about any of the legends. It's all about your own emotions, which is fine. But then you go into it's about mythology. So it feels counterintuitive. Like, you read one thing, you're like, oh, it's about that. But then you read the next thing, you're like, oh, wait, but it's about that. And they don't feel integrated yet. So I'm going to see if I can get there. Okay, pen and paper. I'm going to move on and come back. Pen and paper are my usual mediums. However, I've done larger pieces using paint markers and wooden canvases. I feel like this can go. I feel like people can see that you work in pen and paper. Yeah, I think it's distracting. I think we need to first talk about what the work means versus the materials. We can come back to materials, or we can pepper them in different ways. Mythology and old legends are interpretations of the unexplained or unknown. With pen work, I explore mythology and old legends. I feel like mythology and old legends are the same thing. I explore, and mythology doesn't have to be capitalized. With pen work, I explore mythology and old legends. Interpreting, that's the word I meant. Yes, okay, interpreting the unexplained unknown of the cosmos. That's a strong sentence. With pen work, I explore mythology and old legends, and interpreting the unexplained unknown of the cosmos. Maybe I can make these one, because while I like that, I don't like a single sentence alone. The power of both outer space and the ancient civilizations, I explain the thought of what if. Explore the thought of what if often and use art as a way to process. See, here's the connection. I think this part we need up higher, and I think this part can go. Okay. With pen work, I explore mythology and old legends, interpreting the unexplained. Should I say pen work or line work? I think line work, because sometimes you work with pens and sometimes you work with paint. I love it. I explore the thought of what if often and use it as a way to process and distress from daily life. Maybe this. I explore the cosmic thought. Explore the thought of cosmic what ifs. Process. Yeah, okay, hold on. We got this. Through thousands of lines and serene scenes, I explore the thought of cosmic what if to process and distress from daily life. I feel like one of these commas doesn't need to be here. To process. There we go. And distress from daily life. With line work, I explore mythology and old legends, interpreting the unexplained unknown of universal. Can't have cosmic twice. Okay, this isn't correct. I need to get back. That's the wrong highlight color. There we go. Okay, what if? To process and distress from daily life. With line work, I explore mythology and old legends, interpreting the unexplained unknown of the cosmos. The universe. I can't use universe. The universe is an expanding infinity, and the possibilities are equal. I've been exploring my emotions. It's a little dull. I've been exploring my emotions to be able to share my experiences, to connect with those around me. I feel like we know that you're trying to connect because we're looking at your art. Does that make sense? The definition of sounder. Okay, is sounder the title of your collection? I think it must be, so I'm gonna leave it. The definition of sounder, how about we just say sounder is the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own. By exposing my feelings, I hope to help others with their story and validate them. How about say, let's see, through art. Okay, let's try again. Through thousands of lines and serene scenes, I explore the thought of the universal what if, of the expansive. I think that works. The expansive what if. Explore the thought of the expansive what if to process and distress from daily life. Something about this isn't correct, but let's keep going. Within line work, I explore mythology and old legends, interpreting the unexplained unknown of the cosmos. The universe is an expanding expansive. Well, it's fine. The universe is an expanding infinity, and the possibilities are equal. It's such a great sentence. I have been exploring my emotions. Yes, I've been exploring my emotions to be able to share my experiences through art and connect with those around me. Is this better without the sentence? This is a thing that you should think about. Sometimes when you're writing an artist statement, does taking something out make the whole better? It's like drawing. I'm gonna cut it real quick. Oops, put it down here. Okay. By exposing my feelings, I hope to help others with their story and validate them. With their story, I think taking this out was the correct thing. Let's see. By exposing my feelings, I hope to help others connect with those around me. No, with their story, or validating their story. Maybe it's fine. Let's move on to the next sentence, or paragraph. Want to take that out. I do not see art as a choice. Okay, so now you're getting into manifesto, which I think is fun, but doesn't relate to this section. Consider this, okay? I do not see art as a choice or as something that can be ignored. It's a very strong statement. All humans are creative and show creativity in different ways. And if looked at, every profession or line of work is creative. This is a little redundant. There's something redundant happening here. All humans are creative. I think this is weak. Compared to how strong the last sentence was. All humans are creative and show creativity and express creativity. We already used express, I don't remember. In different ways. Are creative and express. You know what? All humans are creative. Art isn't something I choose to do. Art is something that I am compelled to create. Do not see art as a choice or as something that can be ignored. Space. It is just like why a fish swims. It is a way of being. Fish is such a strong imagery that I'm reluctant to put this in. I feel like we can have a different metaphor. Maybe if we brought it back to the universe, this would be a better metaphor. So to bring it back around as an artist statement and not the manifesto. Does that make sense? Okay, I think I've edited it down. I have a couple things for Isaac to change on his own because I don't think I can finish this out. But here's what I've got. Through thousands of lines and serene scenes, I explore the thought of the expansive what if to process and distress from daily life. Within line work, I explore mythology and old legends, interpreting the unexplained unknown of the cosmos. The universe is an expanding infinity, and the possibilities are equal. Sounder is the realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own. By exposing my feelings, I'm hoping to help others with their story and validate them. I do not see art as a choice or as something that can be ignored. Art isn't something that I choose to do. Art is something that I am compelled to create. It is second nature. Just like why a fish swims, it is a way of being. I do like this. I feel like this last sentence here in this first paragraph is still not strong enough. I feel like talking about other people's stories is too vague. However, I think Isaac needs to finish this. What I really like here is that Isaac talks about his material in a subtle way. He's talking about the major themes behind his work that you might not see at first glance. When you look at his work, which is shown below, you see a lot of fluidity and you see dots that could be stars. Maybe it's a river. So here he's talking about the river of the universe, right? And that's fascinating. It's really cool. It's really cool. And the performance art of him doing these line works, you can see them on YouTube. It's also just as dreamy and just as fun. I think this is a stronger artist statement, and with a couple more changes, I think it could be even greater. Isaac, try to find a metaphor here, like the fish one, but make it about the universe and try to put that to tie it back around to the first statement. We have reduced the amount of text happening here, and we've made things more concise. I think this is an improvement. If you wanted to, you could leave this just as is, and it would be perfectly good. Our fourth artist is Jennifer Arts. I know her work extremely well. She's been on the podcast in the past. Jennifer makes very fluid work. This is a photo from work she made last year. She makes slightly more vivid work now. It's a lot more rainbow colors and a lot finer line work than how splotchy this one is, but I think it's still a good example of what she makes. Let's read her artist statement as she sent it to me. Jennifer Arts is an abstract artist based in California. She explores where movement and minimalism slam into color and bold marks. Her work plays with the idea that art can be felt in an instant, and how simple marks splashed across the canvas can communicate a full range of energy and emotion. Each piece showcases expressive marks, color stains, and lassoed ribbons of paint, balancing control with chaos. The work dances on the edge of intention and chance, capturing the moments that feel both playful and powerful. Okay. First off, she has some really great adjectives that I just noticed right away. Slam is really cool. Lassoed ribbons is really fun. I love it. What she has done that I don't like is written in third person and has added her artist bio information right at the beginning. I'm going to take that out. So here is how I would rewrite this whole statement. I make paintings where movement and minimalism slam into color and bold marks. My artwork plays with the idea that art can be felt in an instant. We do need a third sentence here, so I'm considering blocking this one off. I like play. Play is a major form of is a major note in her work. So that's good to have right at the beginning. My artwork plays with the idea that art. My artwork plays with the idea of the art. Okay, so again, duplicate words. Art and artwork. It's basically the same. My artwork plays with the idea. How about I play with the idea? No, it's two eyes. My artwork plays with the idea that art can be felt in an instant. How simple marks splashed across a canvas can communicate. Simple marks. Okay, I make paintings where movement and minimalism slam into color and bold marks. So evocative. My artwork plays with the idea that art can be felt. I think I want to put instantaneously something at some point. Simple marks, yeah, I feel like I like the idea. Okay, simple marks splashed across a canvas can communicate a full range of energy and emotion. There's something missing there too. Let's see, my artwork plays with the idea. How about playfulness? Okay, playfulness arrives in the instant sculpt. Playfulness, okay, hold on. Her work plays with the idea that art can be felt in an instant. Artistic playfulness. I think I'm going to pull this up here. Okay, let's try this. How about colorful bold marks? I'm trying to get rid of an and. Well, colorful bold marks. I make paintings where movement and minimalism slam into colorful, bold marks. I aim to balance control with chaos. So I kind of like that. But with this one, I did a little bit of rearranging, but I have essentially kept all of the same sentences. It's capturing the moments that feel both playful and powerful. I feel like we have the word moments too often. Am I wrong? Let's see. We have marks fairly often, but her work is about mark making. How about simple mark making? Splash across canvas. Okay, this is what I've come up with. I make paintings where movement and minimalism slam into colorful, bold marks. Artistic playfulness can be felt in an instant. Each piece showcasing expressive streaks, color stains, and lassoed ribbons of paint. My aim, to balance color with chaos. Simple mark making splashed across a canvas can communicate a full range of energy and emotion. The work dances on the edge of intention and chance, capturing the moments that feel both playful and powerful. Yeah. Okay, I think this is good. We've put it into the first person. We have made it a little bit more succinct. We've kept the vivid creativity that's coming out of this text. We have a lot of really great adjectives happening, and I think it's an improvement overall. I think this work really exemplifies what Jennifer's art making is about. It's playfulness, it's strong, it's energy, it's very good. So excellent start, and I didn't have to do too much to it. I feel like the most important thing for Jennifer is to make a different artist bio to go with this paragraph. This artist is Niki Keenan. Niki does sculptural work as well as paintings, and she's been a recent podcast guest here on Brushwork. Let's read her artist statement. I make paintings about scenes that take my breath away. Really strong start. Pacific Northwest forests and waterways to backyard sunsets and sunrises. I paint abstracted landscapes with acrylic using all colors of the visible spectrum. I explore what the sensation would feel like to be in a landscape while enveloped in the refracted light of an opal, or the luminescence of inclusions in peridot? That gemstone. Sorry, that one's tripping me up. As though it was an exploration of belonging. And belonging with landscape is the bedrock of my paintings. I often wonder with whom or what I'm having a conversation in my interior world. Investigating conversations between the seen and unseen is integral to my work. Since 2022, I have been wrapping my canvas paintings around conical forms of various sizes and arranging them in hourglass-shaped configurations in order to support my exploration of themes such as communication with non-physical, intuition, and celestial versus terrestrial. My most recent sculptures are more lyrical in shape and continue this conversation about the meeting place between two parts of myself, me and the other, or celestial versus terrestrial. At their core are an exploration of belonging, and more specifically, belonging to nature. My recent installation, Meeting Place, consists of cone-shaped forms and organic shapes, displayed in hourglass configurations. A star from the Milky Way and our star, the sun, tie the two parts together at their points. In these pieces, the sky and the earth communicate with each other, with the stars as navigational guides and waterways as passage. They reflect imagery found on or near the San Juan Islands. I drew inspiration from gemstones and native plants from the area. These pieces are about electric energy between the meeting of two cones as in the crossing point of an infinity symbol. The upper cone as infinity, and the lower cone revealing and reflecting the infinite and continuous conversation. These pieces are coming from an internal place as I stand in awe of all that is and the communication between the above and the below. Okay, there's some really great imagery happening here. And Niki is clearly someone who writes a lot and journals a lot. And I feel like we have some repeating statements happening here, but the feeling I'm getting, like I can imagine what she's painting from this. It's very evocative. This is definitely too long, but I'm vibing with it. I feel like Niki could be the exception here. I am going to cut it down a bit, but we're going to really think about our rules about clarity and getting to the point with some of these things. I'm going to edit it. I really like the starting point. I make paintings about scenes that take my breath away. I think it's just such a punchy first thing. Pacific Northwest forest. I feel like Niki's greatest weakness is run-on sentences, so I'm gonna bring them together. Pacific Northwest forests and waterways to backyard sunsets and sunrises. I'm gonna say forest scapes. I'm gonna take out waterways. Nope, not forest escapes. Is forestscape a word? Forestscapes? I'm gonna say from Pacific Northwest forests. Oh, we just do forests. Pacific Northwest forests to backyard sunrises. Having sunsets and sunrises is redundant. Let's pick one. I like sunrises. She can change it if she wants to. I paint abstracted landscapes. I'm going to say my abstracted landscapes. My abstracted landscapes, because they are abstracted. Use acrylic. Let's see. My acrylic abstracted landscapes use all the colors of the visible spectrum. She's not shy about color, and I like it. I explore what the sensation would feel like to be in a landscape while enveloped in the reflected light of an opal, as though it was an exploration. I'm going to take out one of these stones because I feel like you understand it and we have to cut down. I explore what the sensation would feel like to be in the landscape while enveloped in the refracted light of an opal, as though it was an exploration of belonging. Love it. I love it. Okay. We go into belonging twice here. Can I put a colon? Belonging in the landscape is a bedrock. Can I take this out? Okay. I explore what the sensation would feel like to be in a landscape. In a landscape. I explore what the sensation would feel like to be in the landscape. I'm going to say the landscape. While enveloped in the refracted light of an opal, comma, as though it was an exploration of belonging. Okay, I'm going to take this out. Oops. I'm going to put this down here. You can use it later if you need to. Do I explore or do I wonder? Because I've got explore and exploration in the sentence. Exploration. Do I do a searching of belonging? Seeking, as though it were a seeking of belonging. As though seeking the bedrock of my painting. I feel like exploring is right. How about I seek what the sensation? I seek what the sensation would feel like. I seek the sensation of being in a landscape. I often wonder with whom or what I'm having a conversation in my interior world. Love it. Investigating conversations between seen and unseen is integral to my work. Perfect. Since 2022. I feel like you have the date here, and normally I would be like no dates, but I feel like this one is applicable. Since 2022, I have been wrapping my canvas paintings around conical forms. Actually, I think this should be like that. Okay, hold on. Ooh, yeah, see, I still like this. Okay. Period. Belonging within the landscape is the bedrock of my paintings. We need a comma. Okay, my acrylic abstracted landscapes use all colors of the visible spectrum. I feel like this could go. I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna put acrylic here. Since 2002, yeah, that's better. Okay, since 2022, I've been wrapping my canvas paintings around conical forms. Take out sizes and arranging them in hourglass glass-shaped configurations in order to support my exploration of themes such as communication with the non-physical, intuition, and celestial versus terrestrial. This is it's too many. Okay, I'm arranging them in hourglass in order to support my exploration of themes. My exploration of communication with the non-physical. Period. Parts of myself, me and the other, or celestial versus terrestrial. I love that. See, now we have a place for them both. At their core are an exploration of belonging, and more specifically, belonging to nature. Love it. Okay, I'm not taking out as much as I should, but it's fine. Okay, at their core, an exploration of belonging, and more specifically, belonging to nature. We've already talked about belonging to nature here, so I'm considering taking this out. Let me highlight it. We'll consider. A star from the Milky Way and our star, the sun, tie the two parts together at their points. I'm going to say and the sun, because I think people who know your work know that, or people who like your work know that the star is the sun. Okay, a star from the Milky Way and the sun tie two parts together at their points. They reflect imagery found on or near the San Juan Islands. I'm not going to say on or near. I'm just going to say on the San Juan Islands. It doesn't have to be exact. It's okay. I drew inspiration from gemstones and the native plants found in the area. Okay, we've already talked about gemstones, so I feel like you don't need to say it again. This is another, maybe we take this out. Native plants is yes, but you have imagery in the San Juan Islands, and the San Juan Islands have native plants. These pieces are about the electric energy between the meeting point of two cones as cones. Here, okay. Let's say the crossing point of an infinity symbol, the upper cone as infinity. Okay, hold on. These pieces are about the electric energy between the meeting points of two cones. The crossing point of an infinity symbol. Let's say period here. Okay. Oops. The upper cone as infinity, and the lower cone receiving and reflecting the infinite continuous conversation. The upper cone as infinity. Okay, I can do this. The upper cone as infinity, and the lower cone receiving and reflecting the infinite and continuous conversation. Does it work? Feels like a lot of ands and no commas. While lower cone receives and reflects the infinite continuous conversation. These pieces are coming from an internal place as I stand in awe of all that is and the communication between the above. I'm going to say the relationship between the above and below. Just because you use the word communication is like often in here, it's a lot in here. Okay, well, we've cut it down a little bit. Niki did such a good job with this, and it's still 3 paragraphs, which is outside of my rules, but I think this is needed for her work. And her work is so immersive that a longer artist statement is appropriate. Here is what I have changed and written for Niki. I make paintings about scenes that take my breath away. From Pacific Northwest forests to backyard sunrises. I seek the sensation of being in the landscape while enveloped in the refracted light of an opal. As though it were an exploration of belonging, I often wonder with whom or what I'm having a conversation in my interior world. Investigating conversations between the seen and unseen is integral to my work. Belonging within the landscape is the bedrock of my acrylic paintings. Since 2022, I've been wrapping my canvas paintings around conical forms and arranging them in hourglass-shaped configurations in order to support my exploration of communication with the non-physical. My most recent sculptures are more lyrical in shape and continue this conversation about the meeting place between two parts of myself, me and the other, or celestial versus terrestrial. My recent hourglass installation, called Meeting Place, balances a star from the Milky Way on top of the sun, tying the two parts at their points. In these pieces, the sky and the earth communicate with each other, with the stars as navigational guides and waterways as passage. They reflect imagery found in the San Islands. These pieces are about electric energy between the meeting of two cones. The upper cone as infinity, while the lower cone receives and reflects the infinite in continuous conversation. These pieces are coming from an internal place, and I stand in awe of all that is and the relationship between the above and the below. I think this is stronger. I feel like now this artist statement has more clarity, less repetition, and is therefore punchier for it. This is very dreamy in imagery, and before it was a little bit confusing for what was going on. I feel like I find the flow now, and I can actually enjoy the infinity meeting places of your sculptural work. Nice work. The last artist I have for us today is Visual Nomad. Visual Nomad has been my co-host for Art Book Club here on the podcast once a month, and she works heavily in disruptive realism. She's also the first artist here who's used a title for her artist statement. There's nothing wrong with that. You should title it if you want to. So I'm not gonna change that title. Here we go. Meaning and medium meet. My artwork deals with how we view this world. Windows of time, the people, places, and things of life that layer and meld together. I explore the literal and ethereal edges of the world. Sometimes these layers create an unsettling moment. Other times they are romantic. Born in a small town in Ohio, I grew up in an analog time when life was less layered. Experiences tend to come one at a time. Yes, I saw the slow progression in day-to-day life over time. Those changes were no less jarring. Whether a slow drip back then or the fire hose of today, we now have a digital world that overlaps everything. I invite you to step into and experience this world with me. This feels more like a letter than anything. I feel like we're really talking to the artist here. There are moments in her artist statement that talk about her biography, but again, I feel like they directly relate to what you're looking at in her art. And so I'm not going to change too many of them, whereas before I've taken out sentences that talk about education or history or accolades. Here's my edit. Windows of time, the people, places. I'm gonna say, my art deals with how we view this world. Windows of time, people, and places. The things of life that layer and meld together. Explore the literal and ethereal edges of the world, of this world. I'm gonna say other times. They're romantic. I'm not changing a whole lot about this first paragraph. Born in a small town in Ohio. I grew up in an analog time. I have non-quotation marks here. When life was less layered. Her work uses a lot of layers, so this is a great word to have in here. Born in a small town in Ohio, I grew up in an analog time when life was less layered. Experiences tend to come one at a time. I'm going to take out yes here. Okay, I'm going to say tend to come one at a time. Slow progression. The slow progression in the day-to-day life. I feel like the sentence isn't quite correct here. Okay, let's see. I grew up in an analog time where life was less layered. Time when life was less layered. Experiences tend to come one at a time. Okay, we're using time twice. With our slow drip back then, or the fire hose up today, we now have in the digital world that overlaps everything. I think this feels out of place. So I think what she's talking about here is the feeling of, you are growing through life and you go through changes, right? You have your childhood, puberty, and adulthood, and they kind of came one after another. Whereas now you still have those things, but also you're learning about things that are happening on a global scale way quicker. And the immediacy of it is like really intense. Say this analog world with me. Yeah, okay. It just doesn't quite feel right. Okay. Experiences tend to come one by one, the slow progressions in day-to-day life. We now have a digital world, one that overlaps everything. Okay, yeah, this feels like incomplete sentence. With our slow drip back then, comparing the slow drip back then to the fire hose today. No. So this one's interesting. I feel like I don't have enough material, if I'm being honest. I feel like I don't have enough to edit from. I feel like when I'm looking at this, I'm not quite getting the sense of her work. I'm not quite getting the sense of the colors that are happening and things like that. So I might send this back not completely edited, which is not something I wanted to do, but that's what happens. Sometimes you have to get some more. I do like these first 4 sentences. I think they're really effective. Okay, I've made some changes and I think this is better. I don't think it's perfect yet. I do think that Visual Nomad needs to put in a few more things about the craft and about the colors that she's chosen for her work, because it's hard for me to imagine what her paintings look like. We have a picture below of what it looks like, but I'm not getting that imagery within reading about this. So I'd like a little bit more of that, and that's going to be on her to come up with. But here's what I came up with. Meaning in the medium meet. My artwork deals with how we view the world, windows of time, people, and places, the things of life that layer and meld together. I explore the literal and ethereal edges of this world. Sometimes these layers create an unsettling moment. Other times they are romantic. Born in a small town in Ohio, I grew up in an analog time where life is less layered. Experiences tend to come one by one, the slow progressions in the day-to-day life. Whether a slow drip back then or the fire hose of today, I now have a digital world, one that overlaps everything. I invite you to step in and experience this analog world with me. Maybe painted perception of that world with me. Yeah, because she doesn't even say that she makes paintings ever. I know that Visual Nomad makes digital collages before she creates the paintings, but the paintings are the final product. It's what people see. So I really would love to see the paintings being a more prominent feature in the artist statement. Not too bad, but I think we're maybe halfway there. Oh look, it's dark out. And that's the last of our examples. I truly hope these tips and examples were helpful. If you are looking for more assistance though on your artist statement and you want to send me your first draft, I do offer artist statement editing. You'll find it through Patreon, and once you've submitted your artist statement, I will go over the tone, the grammar, if it connects with your work. If I see any problems with it, I will do a full edit of your artist statement and return it to you within a week of submitting. I'd love to help you with your artist statement. I know that it's tough to not have anyone in your corner helping you with writing, and so if you're interested, please join the Patreon page. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Members who are in the mentorship level get artist statement editing for free at any time they need. So that's one of the perks of mentorship if you're interested. Thank you so much for listening to Brushwork this week. Coming up next week is a pep talk for your inner artist. I'm excited and I hope you are too. Make good choices, everyone. I'll see you later. Bye!